Hello everyone. In previous lecture already we have discussed the summary of this chapter. So in this lecture we are going to solve some problem. So let us discuss a question. Water is flowing at the rate of 0.05 ml per second in an upward direction through a fine sand sample whose coefficient of permeability is 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 centimeter per second. The sample thickness is 12 cm and cross-sectional area is 50 cm square. Find the effective pressure at the middle and bottom section of the sample if the saturated unit weight of the sand is 19.4 kilonewton per meter cube. So this is our question. Let us find out the given data. So rate of flow Q is small q, this is equal to 0.05 ml per second. We convert it into centimeter, so 0.05 centimeter cube per second. Coefficient of permeability, that is K, equal to 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 centimeter per second. Sample thickness Z equal to 12 centimeter equal to 0.12 meter. Cross sectional area capital A equal to 50 centimeter square. Effective pressure sigma dash equal to question mark. We have to find out at middle if gamma sat equal to 19.4 kilonewton per meter cube. Again we have to find out same thing, effective pressure sigma dash equal to question mark at bottom section if gamma sat equal to this much 19.4 kilonewton per meter cube. So this is our question, or this is our given data which we collect from the question. So we calculate one by one. First we calculate at middle section. At the middle the total depth is, here it is given, Z equal to 12 centimeter, total thickness of the sample, as we have to find out at the middle, so obviously the thickness is half, we have to take half, so Z equal to 6 centimeter, this is equal to 0.06 meter. Again we know sigma dash equal to Z gamma dash minus I Z gamma W. Here gamma W value we know, Z value also given, unknown is gamma dash. So here gamma dash equal to, also I also unknown, it is not given, we have to find out, two things are unknown. Gamma dash equal to gamma sat minus gamma W. So 19.4 minus 9.81 equal to 9.59 kilonewton per meter cube. Again we know the formula Q equal to KIA. From that we calculate I equal to Q by Ka. So 0.05 by 2 into 10 minus 3 into 50. So this is Ka equal to 10 to the power minus 3, 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 into 50, this is equal to 0.5. So finally sigma dash equal to, we put all the values, our answer is 0.2811 kilonewton per meter square. Next, at bottom section. So at bottom section the thickness, only the thickness is changed, Z equal to 12 centimeter, this is equal to 0.12 meter. Same formula we can apply here also. Sigma dash equal to Z gamma dash minus I Z gamma W. So after putting all the values we found this value 0.56 kilonewton per meter square. Another question. The Boyd's ratio and specific gravity of the two soils are as follows. Here Boyd ratio, specific gravity of two soil, upper soil and lower soil are given, these values. Determine the seepage velocity through each soil and the critical gradient if the rate of flow is 1.35 into 10 to the power minus 2 centimeter cube per second and area of sample 1 centimeter square. So this is our question. So we write down the given data for upper soil. Boyd ratio E equal to 0.68, specific gravity equal to 2.70, seepage velocity Vs equal to question mark, critical gradient Ic equal to question mark. Again we write here for lower soil, Boyd ratio E equal to 0.52, specific gravity equal to 2.66, seepage velocity Vs equal to question mark, critical gradient Ic equal to question mark. Again rate of flow, it is common, Q equal to 1.35 into 10 to the power minus 2 centimeter cube per second. Area of sample A equal to 1 centimeter square. So this much our given data. So let us find out for upper soil. First we have to find out two things. So we know seepage velocity, we know the relation Vs equal to V by N, where V equal to, we have no idea what is V. Again also N are unknown. So we have to find out V. Again from the relation Q equal to AV, or implies B equal to Q by A. So Q value is given 1.35 into 10 to the power minus 2. Area is 1. So that B equal to 1.35 into 10 to the power minus 2 centimeter per second. Another thing is N, E by 1 plus E. So velocity, sorry, the void ratio is given to us, so that 0.68 by 1 plus 0.68, this is 0.4047 or 40.47%. So let us put all the values and find out Vs equal to V by N. So after putting the value, we found Vs equal to 3.34 into 10 to the power minus 2 centimeter per second. This is one answer. Again we have to find out another thing. This is critical gradient. So IC equal to G minus 1 by 1 plus E. Again IC equal to 2.7 minus 1 by 1 plus 0.68. This is equal to 1.01. So for upper soil, all the values we calculated. Let us find out for lower soil. For lower soil, again same formula here also we apply. Bs equal to V by N. B is unknown. So same formula. B equal to 1.35 10 to the power minus 2 centimeter per second. Again N equal to, we know, E by 1 plus C. So this is equal to, but E value is changed. We know for lower soil it is given 0.52 by 1 plus 0.52 equal to 0.342 or 34.2%. So let us put all the values. So after putting the values, Vs equal to this much, we found 3.95 into 10 to the power minus 2 centimeter per second. So this is one answer. Again the last one, critical gradient, IC equal to G minus 1 by 1 plus C. IC equal to 2.66 minus 1 by 1 plus 0.52. This is equal to 1.09. This is our answer. Completed. So this is a 2-mark question, which is phreatic line. The top surface of a freely moving groundwater reservoir over an impervious or impermeable stratum is called phreatic line or groundwater table. So this is the top line or flow line of water. This is the top line. This is known as the top flow line or phreatic line. This is a dam structure, earth dam, flow net for an earth dam, and this structure shows a flow net. This is a flow line, this is the equipotential line, and the square box is filled, known as filled. So the top surface of a freely moving water is known as phreatic line. Water pressure is the atmospheric pressure at all the points in a phreatic line. All the pressure is the atmospheric pressure, so it is called equipotential line also. So this is a 2-mark question. Next is flow net. This flow net is not given in your syllabus. Still, I think it is necessary for you to know about flow net. So flow net represents the flow of water through a soil graphically. It is a graphical representation of the flow of water. This figure shows this one. Applications include calculation of off-lift pressure, exit gradient, heaving, and pore water pressure. And it is a curvilinear net formed by the combination of flow line and equipotential line. This is the flow line and these are the equipotential line. And the angle between this flow line and equipotential line is 90 degree. Always it is 90 degree. So this is an impervious stratum through which the water flows. And flow lines represent the path of flow along which the water will sift through the soil. And equipotential lines are formed by connecting the points of equal total head. And in field, under seed piles, under dams and under masonry structures, flow is not 1D. It may be 2D or 3D. So this figure also shows that this is a square field, this is the flow line, this is the equipotential line. And here the question, what are the assumptions to be made to draw the flow net? So some assumptions, or we have to assume some things during the construction of flow net. Soil mass is fully saturated, that means full of water, and Darcy's law is valid. And soil is homogeneous and isotropic, and soil grains and water are incompressible. So these are the assumptions we have to assume during the construction of a flow net. Next, Application of flow net. So flow net is useful to determine the following parameters in seepage analysis of soil. Some applications are calculations of outlet pressure, to find out exit gradient or piping, heaving, determination of seepage and seepage pressure. Also it is necessary to find out pore water pressure. Then there are some methods. So the question is, what are the methods of construction of flow net? So there are some methods are available to construct a flow net, like analytical method, electrical analogy method, capillary flow model, sand model, and graphical model. So these are some methods to construct flow net. Next is properties of flow net. So some properties are, the angle of interaction between each flow line and equipotential line must be 90 degree, which means they should be orthogonal to each other. Already I have told you, and also show in this figure. See again this one. So the angle between the flow line and the equipotential line always 90 degree. So this is the main properties of flow net. Two flow lines or two equipotential lines can never cross each other. Equal quantity of seepage occurs in each flow channel. A flow channel is a space between two flow lines. And head loss is the same between two adjacent potential lines. Next is, flow nets are drawn based on the boundary conditions only. They are independent of the permeability of soil and also the head causing flow. The next is, the space formed between two flow lines and two equipotential lines is called a flow field. The square shape is called as flow field. It should be in a square form. Next is, either flow line or equipotential lines are smoothly drawn curves. So these are the some properties of flow net. You have to remember this. So with this chapter or chapter 5 is completed, and in next lecture we will start a new chapter. This is chapter 6. Thank you.